Good evening. The opinions and statements voiced by our guests do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this network. Enjoy the shows.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection.
Now, historic films made in the spring of 1948 and just released show Eniwetok preparing for heavily guarded and still largely secret tests of new atomic weapons. The test's purpose is to measure atomic effects on thousands of different materials, 30,000 tons of them, not, as at Bikini, to prove military effectiveness.
San Francisco police say that 9 persons have been arrested in a narcotics raid on the headquarters of the Grateful Dead, a widely popular singing group. 2 members of the group, Rod McKernan and Robert Weir, and their business manager, Danny Rifkin, have been booked on suspicion of possessing narcotics.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11. Tower cleared.
Here we got a roll program. Neil Armstrong reporting the roll and pitch program, which puts Apollo 11 on a proper heading.
I'm going to step off the limb now. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Well, strange lights are causing a viral buzz on YouTube. Could we have caught extraterrestrial activity on a recent newscast? Brandon Arroyo investigates.
As the newscast ended, the controversy began back on September 26th. What is that light shining in the back of the dark night sky?
With coverage reaching all the way back to 1948, for over 70 years, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Now, Fate Magazine Radio is carrying on that tradition of setting the standard in paranormal talk radio as we report and discuss some of the most mysterious and perplexing phenomena imaginable in this strange world of ours. Now, here is your host of Fate Magazine Radio, Kat Hobson.
Hello there. I am Kat Hobson. I'm your host of Fate Mag Radio, the online voice of Fate Magazine, in publication since 1948, just in case you needed that extra information. You do, trust me, and you want to check it out. It is fantastic. I am so looking forward to tonight's conversation. Tonight's guest is someone that I have known online for over 20 years, or roughly 20 years. We have been period heads together. We have had fantastic conversations and watched the world go by together. I did not know until I started doing paranormal research and then began Paranormal Experience, my other radio show, that Kim is a cryptid investigator. She absolutely loves to be out in the woods. She lives in Wisconsin, so there's a lot of woods. And it is just going to be a fantastic show because she walks with her camera. She finds all the things that are fantastic, and she shares them. When you see some of the things that she has discovered in her local area, just out walking, it's going to amaze you. She's also a photographer. And I'm going to razz her about one of her pictures later because it's the only blurry image she's ever taken that I have looked at. So we're going to have fun with that because I just love her, and she's nervous now because I said that. So, Kim, I am so glad you're here. This is Kim Hoholek, and she's great. Thank you. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you so much, Kat, for having me. I appreciate it.
You know, you've done this a while.
Yeah, I have. I've had an interest since I was small. And, you know, in the past 4 years is when I started to get into the field research of it. You know, I've always paid attention to the movies and whatnot, and, you know, checked out podcasts, checked out YouTube videos, and researched online. And then I'm like, I had that opportunity to finally get into field research, and I'm like, oh, yes, you know, this is exciting.
Well, and it has been for you. You have uncanny luck.
Sometimes, yeah.
I mean, you really do. I mean, you know, and just so you know, I did invite Jay to this show. So hopefully he will be here. I know he'll probably check it out if he can't be here now. But I know that that's somebody you like a lot. And really, when I interviewed him, that's when I first realized just exactly how dedicated and great you are in this field.
Oh, thank you.
Because you've been to almost all of the places, and we are going to protect locations because there are people that feel that you must have a dead Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And I am totally anti people killing anything unless they have to eat because they're starving. So we are going to be sheltering specifics, and you're cool with that too.
100%.
Okay, but because you don't just do cryptids, you also have UFO experiences. You have paranormal, spiritual paranormal experiences. I mean, you truly are pretty much off the chain.
Oh, thank you. I'm honored to hear that.
I didn't do it. It's all your hard work. But what was your first? What was your first real experience that caught your eye?
In the paranormal?
Yes. Well, in any of these fields, yeah.
Well, if you want to get into the cryptid subject, it goes back to 1979. There was a local film producer in the area where I grew up that created a film called The Capture of Bigfoot. Now, it's, one of those little indie horror film flicks, but it was like, to me as a kid, oh, this is cool. This is a movie that was created in, my backyard practically. And I didn't really know what it was. I was pretty young, and I kind of learned a little bit from there, what Bigfoot was. Right. So I've always had that interest, in the back of my mind. But growing up, we were always kind of taught that, well, Bigfoot could exist, but if it exists, it's in the Pacific Northwest. I didn't realize until later on in life, it exists anywhere. Especially in Wisconsin. So when I found out that people are having reports in Wisconsin of Bigfoot, oh my goodness, that was so super exciting. So it's like, then it pushed me more and more to get into the field research. But I didn't get so much into that until later in life. So in my younger years, my other experience it's been UFOs. Back in the mid-1980s, I had 2 UFO experiences. One of them was I was riding with some friends, and their dad was driving. You remember those big old station wagons? And when you're kids, you get to ride in
Harry and the Hendersons. I do.
Exactly. It was almost like that same exact station wagon style. And we were heading back to our campsite. We were probably about 2 miles from the campsite. And it was at night because we had gone to the local town to go get some fast food and, just something different than camp food. And all of a sudden, the father, he slams onto the brakes. And we're just like, what the heck is going on? And I can kind of see some, like, weird lights and stuff. But, you know, sitting way in the back, I couldn't see exactly what was going on. And it was just like, there was silence, but there's just a lot of different lights happening. And when we finally, it went away and then we started discussing it, basically when they described it, they says it was kind of like a oval shaped object that started hovering over the station wagon. And it had all these lights going around. And you pretty much guess, we were all in shock. We were like, what happened? You know?
That is so wild.
And I don't know if we experienced any loss of time, because I know we still discuss it to this day. Like, you know, I don't think there was a loss of time. I think it was, you know, it just happened and then boom, it was gone. But that was pretty exciting. So we get back to the campsite and we're like, okay, you know, enough of that. And, you know, we're getting ready to go to bed or go into our camp or into our, using tents back then. And that's when more bizarre things started to happen. We started hearing...
More bizarre than that. I mean, because that's going to be hard to top.
Well, we actually
really
didn't much. I know, we didn't fear so much the crazy light part. We feared what went on in the woods that night. None of us got any sleep.
Whoa.
So we started getting, you know, the bullfrogs were going off in the lake and stuff, and then they would get silent, and then all of a sudden we would hear howling, but it was like, is it coyotes or is it wolves? We couldn't figure it out, because back then wolves weren't really common in northern Wisconsin. So that was kind of odd. So it was very strange howls, and that would like start and then it would stop. It would start and then it would stop. The bullfrogs, they would start and then it would stop. Then when we get complete silence, we started hearing loud splashes into the lake.
Oh.
And the father thought there were some people that came out there, and this is like in the middle of the summer. He thought some people came out there and were messing around, or he thought one of us kids got out of the tent and went and started, you know, throwing rocks. And we're like, no, we're all right here. And this went on the entire night. We have never been so scared in our lives. To this day, we have no clue what that was.
To you, I mean, I know that you were young, but to you, did that sound like grown-up size things moving around, or did it sound like, you know, something your size moving around, or what was it like?
The sounds of the splashes in the lake, at first we thought beaver tail, but then it was like beaver tail just makes a, you know, a certain type of splash, but these sound like someone was picking up some big size rocks and throwing them into the lake. And it was constantly going off. And it's like, there can't be that many rocks around to keep doing that. You know, of course, I mean, to this day that we can remember it like it was yesterday, the sounds and everything that went on. Yeah, it was definitely
it's just
crazy.
Yeah. I would still have issues with being out there, because there's so much that lives there, okay, even without Sasquatch or Bigfoot, that there's just tons of possibilities. You know, did you still live in Wisconsin then? That's where you grew up, right?
Yeah, I grew up in the northern part of the state, and I now live in the part.
So you had bear and elk and all of the big things.
Well, more like
crazy stuff.
Elk down, or if a moose came down, that was very rare, and that came down from Canada. So basically, we have the bear. We can have bobcats, we have coyotes, and deer. You know, and then you got your small critters, raccoons, skunks, you know, and whatnot. But of all the time...
I try desperately not to run into skunks.
Right.
I had to clean a dog once, and we both smelled like it. It was terrible.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Not
But
my
yeah,
Kool-Aid.
right. But yeah, it was definitely. But I don't know. For some reason, we didn't think too much of it because, we've always camped out there, and never really gave it much of a thought. And now, whenever I go back home to northern Wisconsin and I go and I check out that campsite, now I feel very like strong presence, like I'm being watched. And I don't know if it's because now I became aware. I'm not sure. I can't explain it because I'll go up there and I'll just film some footage up there, just with my phone and just see what's going on. And I just get this uneasy feeling. So like to this day, could I camp there again? Definitely not alone.
You know how I feel about alone out there, because we have had that conversation fairly recently.
Yes,
so, but I'm glad that you wouldn't do that. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, so it was definitely an experience. That was probably my most memorable experience with a UFO. And then the events that went on after that, I can't explain it. I might have some theories or ideas of what it could have been. I'm not sure.
You know what you're supposed to do when you say that, right?
Say what's on my mind first.
You share them. You share your ideas. But,
yeah. Go ahead.
What is one? What is one thing that you thought of that?
After I got further into the cryptid investigation and I start to learn, what other people have learned from behaviors of Bigfoot, and how some theories are that they feel that Bigfoot is related with UFOs, that it could be very possible that that's what we were dealing with.
Man.
Or some type of cryptid.
Right.
That was the one doing, the throwing of the rocks and whatnot. Not saying, if aliens came out of the craft, that they weren't the ones messing around, because like I said, everything went silent. But the woods go silent anytime a predator is present.
Yes, they do. Well, I mean, they even do during the day, because all of my birds just disappear when a hawk is over.
Exactly. So it can be, a couple things. It could be alien life form, it could be Bigfoot, or it could be some type of other cryptid creature.
Right.
All I know is it did not want to leave that entire night. And it was almost like we felt like we were being harassed.
Well, I feel like you probably were.
Most definitely.
I mean, because everything that you're describing are intimidation techniques, right?
Exactly.
So that would be how you felt.
Yes.
I just find that so odd, because did you feel like, and I know we're going to get into this a little bit more later, but in that particular instance, did you feel that those two incidents were related?
As far as the UFO sightings?
The UFO sighting and then the activity in the woods that night.
I definitely 100% feel that is related, because it's too coincidental to have both events happen at the same night.
I think so too. And, there's a theory of thought that this is that everything is related. There's a field of thought that everything unusual is interdimensional. I don't know if I think everything is, but I do think that I have come across a lot of interesting theories through string theory and quantum physics that lead me to think that could be possible. But we are going to go and take our first break, because holy cats, it's time. I can't believe it. I told you this was going to go fast.
Sure did go fast.
Y'all, we will be right back. We have so much more to cover. Y'all are going to have a blast. So, hang in there, and we'll see you on the flip side.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama. Since 1948, Fate Magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting. You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
This is Jason Bland, host of Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup, where we stream live as a webcast every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern, with guests who will blow your mind. Live ghost box sessions where you can call into the show to see if the spirits will talk to you, and the world wide web of weird with the latest in paranormal news and evidence. We're bringing the weird every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow and subscribe.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 23 minutes after the hour. Welcome back to Fate Mag Radio, the online voice of Fate Magazine. I am so glad you're here because my guest is someone that I have known for years. And not just online, we've met. But I am thrilled because I think the whole history that she has that I did not even know about until she started opening up a little. I mean, it's insane because she's not just a cryptid investigator, and I knew this because she shared some photos from her hikes of structures. And there's a video up now on the face of the show that you can look up on the event. And you'll see some of those structures, and you can pause that video, I'm pretty sure, if you want to look at them closely. But I may just go ahead and make that a separate thing in the event, too. We'll see how that works out. But you also started your life a little differently than most people do. Not just with the cryptid encounter in the cryptid film, but you have other abilities.
Yeah, I don't remember too much at a younger age of having it. It's like when I started to get a little bit older, I started noticing that things that I was feeling, whether I'm out in the woods or in someone's house, was basically I started feeling energies of spirits. And
like not living people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, you ever get like those goosebumps and you don't know why, and the hair's standing on the back of your head, you know, and it's just like I would get that. And it took me a little bit until I started talking to other people or opening up to other people that they started telling me, you do realize you're starting to feel energies of spirits. And I didn't know what that was, and so I started paying attention to it more and studying and, acknowledge it whenever I start feeling it in certain areas, and usually be in like older homes, and whatnot. But along with that, I started having visions as well. I'll have very vivid dreams, and for some reason, when I wake up, I feel very compelled to go and tell someone, like, this dream was really unreal. And then come to find out, these events happen, or they started to happen after the dream. It's just, and what's so weird is you can't control it. You just have it. Yes. I can't be like, go to sleep tonight and be like, well, let me see what I'm going to dream about tonight. No, it's whenever it decides it wants to hit me, it's going to hit me.
Well, have you had documented, have you had the dreams obviously in front of you with people you knew come true?
Exactly, I did.
Has it happened more than once?
Oh, numerous times it's happened. I've had one where there's this coworker I had lunch with, and I had the dream about her that she came to me in the break room and told me that she was pregnant. And I woke up and it was like, it was still stuck in my mind, and I thought it was just kind of comical. And so the next day when I ran into her in the parking lot and I says, hey, you're not going to believe this. I had a dream that you told me you were pregnant. And her eyes got really big and she says, shut up. We haven't told anyone that. How do you know that? And I giggled because it's like, I never know if I'm spot on or not. That's why I have to talk to people about it to see if it's, to get the validation. So then I just giggle. It doesn't, because I'm just like, well, I don't have an explanation for you. And, they're pretty wild. I've had a couple death dreams where, it's like a male voice comes to me in these dreams and tells me that someone's dying or someone's about to die. And when I get those, I definitely know who to go to and who to trust to pass that message on so that they can go and pay their last respects.
That is odd. So,
yeah.
So you tell someone that you had a dream that someone that mattered to them was going to die?
Yeah.
How is that received?
Well, the times that it happened to people that I know that already knew that I have these abilities. So they trusted me. And it was on a relative that was suffering from cancer. And so I told another relative that, it sounds like she's going to have like a week or so to live. You might want to, because she was going through the hospice care and whatnot. And I'm like, it sounds like it's going to happen soon. And I want to say it was within 2 days after the dream. And that person was able to reach the relative and, able to see them one more time.
Wow. Well, that's a curse and a gift.
It is. Because I have to look at it as a blessing because I think I'm supposed to use it to help people.
Absolutely, you are. We don't get these things just because.
Exactly.
Well, Sherry wants to know if you had any paranormal experiences as a child. Because, usually people that do aliens and Bigfoot have a tie to paranormal as well. And I told her that I felt like what you were sharing now was prior to your other things. But have you ever actually done a paranormal investigation also?
I have recently. Actually last month. And this kind of goes beyond doing tours and whatnot. I actually went to a friend's home who I previously went to their home before, and I wasn't sure if they were open about the paranormal idea. So I just kind of brought the subject up a little, and I'm like, oh, I kind of do this. And they're like, oh, we find that stuff so fascinating. We really like it. And then that opened the door for me to say, okay, great, your house is haunted. And get big, and they're like, how did you know that? And I'm just like, I can feel spirits. Well, they've been so amazed by that they invited me back in their home, and they wanted to know if I could help them out to make sure that whatever it is they're dealing with is okay, so that they can feel comfortable with it. And I said, absolutely. I go, I'm not experiencing this. I go, but I'm willing to try. And if I could at least get a little bit of an idea of what's going on, and if I know I can't handle it, I definitely know people that's going to help me to handle it or help you out. And so we kind of just sat in their home for a little bit, and I did like readings to find ways to communicate. And, there's things that were popping up, like, I looked at a card and I'm like, okay, there was a fire. And they says, yeah, the guest house had a fire years ago. And then I'm just, going on and doing other readings. They wanted like messages and whatnot. And I kind of found out that whatever spirits they're dealing with, they were okay with them. They were okay with them living in the house. These were like past people that lived in that home as well. And as I was kind of sitting there, all of a sudden this voice comes into my head and it says, Henry. And I'm like, who's Henry? And the couple, they had no clue who Henry was. And it was like later on in the evening, we're just kind of discussing things, and the one of my friends starts looking up information on the house, because the house was built in the early 1900s. And he's like, oh, wow. He's like, you're not going to believe this. And he says, I never knew the first name of the owner of this home that built the home, but his name is Herbert Henry. And I'm like, there's our answer. There's your Henry.
Go. There's your connection.
Yep, my connection, my validation. Because when I first entered their home, it was over a year ago, I felt it more of a male presence than a female presence. Mm-hmm. But they knew, because they've had other like people who are into the paranormal that investigated their home, that says that there was a female presence there. And I'm like, I feel a couple presence, but the male was more stronger for me. And so what I got out of that is Henry is the one that was trying to communicate to me. Like he has some message for them, or to say, hey, this is me. I'm here. I'm in the home.
Just stating it like it is, right? Why do you think it mattered to him that y'all know who he was, or that they know who he was?
Because I think the couple was inquiring that they're in his home. They're like, right. They want to make sure, is it okay that we're here? Did they have any message? And I think that was him reaching out to me to let them know, hey, yeah, I'm here. I'm okay with you being here. Because I got no bad feelings at all.
Right.
From trying to communicate with them. So, I mean, that was definitely a good sign.
I would think so, yes. And it's always good when you walk away from a situation like that and you can let them know that I believe that you're safe. I don't see anything that would make me alarmed, the whole bit. And I've seen people actually cry when they got that news. So
yes, that happened. Definitely. So it's definitely a way to help people.
Mm-hmm. Well, I am so interested because, like I said, 20 years and I had no clue that this was part of you.
Yeah, and this is the same too with knowing you, because our main topic is the parrot head area. We never really thought to explore outside of that. We were all about, let's be a family and have a good time.
Yeah.
And when I heard that you were into this, I was so super excited, because I'm like, oh, that's amazing,
Mostly it's amazing. Sometimes it's a little freaky. But
yeah,
but don't you find when you open up to people, like the people in that home, I get all the time, like I was at the pharmacy last night trying to get Kylie some, stuff for her diabetes and shots and stuff. But, by the way, Kylie's a dog. She's not a child, so. But it was interesting because the pharmacist that was helping me was talking about something, and I was like, oh, well, I do ghost hunting, and I prefer paranormal investigation, but whatever. And she was like, do you really? That is so cool. And so I told her about Fate Magazine, and I told her about Paranormal Experience Radio, and about the shows that we have on here with Denise and the guys on Thursday with Peter and Bruce, and now with Teal, and we're just going gangbusters. And she got the information, and she is now, following us and friended me. And, because people have these experiences and they don't talk about them.
Exactly.
Like us, right?
Exactly. Yep.
And because that's just not the focus. And they're almost afraid to bring it up. Don't you think so?
Absolutely. So when I started to kind of come out of my shell and let people know more of like, hey, this is what I do, and I'll deal with the consequences if they think I'm crazy. I'm at the point now at my age, I'm like, I don't care. I think I'm crazy. Whatever,
Kind of I am.
But then I was shocked because people who were scared to talk about experience that they have started coming to me and opening up to me about things that they have seen and heard or done, and they still want to be protected, and they don't want, they don't want other people knowing it, but they want that safe environment to be able to speak up and know that someone's not going to judge them,
right.
And know that, hey, I'm not crazy, right? I really did see this, and I'd like to create that safe haven for people.
I agree. That is the main reason I got into paranormal investigation, was because I have gifts.
Yep.
And not unlike some of yours. And I believe that you're given those to help people to be and feel safe. And
Absolutely.
I also believe if you don't use them the way that they're intended, you lose them.
Exactly.
So I think it's really important that we pay attention to that.
Yeah, and I've actually recently coached someone who has some gifts, and they chose to block them because it scares them.
Yes.
But I was able to talk to that person and say, look, these are given to you to help other people. And by the end of the evening, she gave me a big hug, and, she had some tears, and she's like, thank you. Thank you for believing in me.
Well, if you don't help people like that, you run up on a carry.
Yeah.
You need to help people learn how to use their gifts if you possibly can. And that sounds like a joke, but, people who are repressing, especially if their skills are really strong, and they probably are if they're that freaked out by them, they tend to build up. And it's... April in chat said it's scary to have gifts, especially with the stigma and how people react to her. And yeah, it can be. And that's why people are slow to open up about them.
People fear the unknown.
Yes.
And they need people to talk to about it, to feel comfortable and accepted.
Yes. So I totally agree with that. I wasn't comfortable, and I've seen things, or primarily I've known things since I was a kid. Yeah. And, but I didn't recognize it as being anything weird because I always just thought everybody did. Like the deja vu thing, I thought everybody did that. And no, not so much.
Yeah, I have that too. It's so weird.
It is weird. It's very unexpected when when you hit it, because I don't know about you, but I judge situations based on it. I have it so much. And I recognize what happened. Yeah, I know it's going to happen. And if I liked what happened, then I do that. If not, I immediately change direction. Do you do that too?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely trust my gut in situations, and I kind of go from there on how I'm going to handle it.
Yeah. It just...
For the most part, I handle it as I feel I need to handle it. If it needs to be spoken out and mentioned, I definitely do it.
Yeah. So I think it's just important.
Absolutely.
Because I can tell you 3 specific times, and I'm sure there's more, but these stuck out so much. There were at least 3 specific times that saved my life.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. And one of them was so strong that you will never see me wearing a bright orange, which happens to look great on me, or it did when I was younger. But
was this like outdoors, the bright orange?
It was at an amusement park in the Vision. And see, this I think was a vision, not a deja vu, because I woke up so shook up because I died. I was at an amusement park. I had on this adorable outfit, and I died on a ride. So it was...
And it probably saved you.
I'm sure it has, because there is nothing. Even parrot head shirts, there's nothing. And I'm going to go ahead and take our break just a tad bit early, because there's a conversation going on in chat that I want us to take a minute to address. Do you mind doing that?
Sure.
Okay. So we are going to go and listen to these little ads, and we'll be back on the flip side. Thank you so much for being here, and, we appreciate it. Every single one of you. We'll be right back.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... Nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
This is Jason Bland, host of Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup, where we stream live as a webcast every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern, with guests who will blow your mind. Live ghost box sessions where you can call into the show to see if the spirits will talk to you, and the World Wide Web of Weird with the latest in paranormal news and evidence. We're bringing the weird every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow and subscribe.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 45 minutes after the hour. Welcome back to Fate Mag Radio, the online voice of Fate Magazine. I'm so glad you're here. And my guest is Kim Hoholek, and we are talking about her experiences, what got her investigating cryptids and ufology, and her paranormal abilities. But our chat room is really having a conversation that I want to bring out because Kim and I both can relate to this. And one of the members said that they've been an emotional mess lately, crying for no reason and not sure if she's menopausal or an empath. So everything's fine at home, but she feels like she's feeling the sadness of everyone. And another said, I hear you. I cried half the day yesterday. Something is afoot. And so the first chatter said, why are we doing this? I had to get off Facebook. And she did have to get off Facebook for a couple of days because she didn't want to see any posts. And I messaged her and told her how to ground to help with that. And then the previous chatter said the world is a mess right now, confused by people's reactions and how they're acting now, and stuff doesn't make sense. And she's a very strong psychic and medium, so that's interesting to me. And then we've got but she's not. She says that she cried when she moved because she missed her friend. She cried when her brothers-in-law passed away, but she's not a crier, and this really is the happiest person I know. But for the past few days, she's bawling for no reason, a hot mess, and and she's going to be 53. So no, sorry to tell you, that's probably not menopause, but I've been noticing that too, and I know that my energy feels kind of drained. I have to go and search for better moments, for lack of a better term. Are you feeling any kind of air quote shift in the force or anything of that nature? Has it reached you up there?
Absolutely. And to be honest, I've had many chats with people that there's going to be a big shift coming, and I knew it was sooner than later, so I kind of prepared myself for it.
Right.
The start of the pandemic, I took myself out in the woods a lot and got myself grounded. And I think that's what's helping me.
I would agree. Just getting out of a peoply environment.
I think everyone's feeling this shift.
And it's tremendous.
Yes, it's a lot of dark energies, but I can say from what I'm feeling is I feel strongly it is going to get better. We just have to get through this storm.
How long do you think that will be?
I definitely felt all through 2020 that it was going to be pretty bad. Maybe in a year or so, we'll start seeing it. But, we have to go through it. It's almost like things have been taught with me, especially through natives and whatnot, is the earth has to go through this cleanse.
Yes.
And I feel like this is what we're going through right now. We're going through this cleansing period. But there's always going to be a light in the end of the tunnel, so you have to be optimistic and hopeful.
Well, it's been sad in more than one location, more than one time, that the way that the pandemic has been publicized is just really rocking the whole world, rocking people, individuals, because they give you the case number, but I can't tell you the last time I heard somebody said that there's like a 0.074 chance that you die from it. The majority of people get well. And there are repercussions from having had it, but those abate also. And so nobody really seems to have a positive outlook because they're being fed the negative vibe.
They need to get
negative.
Get away
it is
from
a
that.
Thing. They do. Turn off the freaking news. I don't care what channel you watch. And, it's, Sherry, I I do Epsom salt soaks, and I try to, because I have to do them for my hip and my leg anyway. But I get like ginger and clay, or I do lavender because I love lavender. There's a sage spray you can get. It's on Amazon. I buy mine from Amazon. And I learned about that from my friend Terry. So, you know, there are things that you can do to balance yourself. If you have stones that you like, utilize your stones. I mean, I use, Jiminy Crickets. I have a crystal wand that is lapis. Not lapis. Very similar. Okay. It's beautiful. It's blue, and it's so blue. And, you know, you can, and I also use it on my throat chakra if I'm having a struggle with my voice, because that seems to be the chakra that closes up the most. But
that's fine, because I have my chakra bracelet on right now to help me get through this show.
I'm glad. You might need to send me some. But
I will.
You know, it really is. There's so many ways. Get outside and, you know, get barefoot. It's not that cold. And if you're not in my backyard, there's not that much poop. So, you know, the trucks and everybody ran all over it, and it's all everywhere. We're going to have a really good rain I can't scoop it up. But, you know, there's things that you can do to center yourself. If you do yoga, do yoga. Seriously. It's
meditation too.
Yeah.
Open up a window and get that fresh air coming through, and just sit in front of it, close your eyes, and take those deep breaths. That helps.
Absolutely. You know, it just really, there are so many options, and none of them are invasive. They don't have to be invasive. They don't have to be life-altering. They just have to bring you back to yourself and turn off the news. Because, period. I don't care who you voted for. Don't give a rat's butt. I don't care who you think is doing what to who. We can't affect that. We cannot affect that.
Even if it's social media, it is okay to disconnect and take care of yourself.
Yeah, Sherry did that over the weekend, and she came back a much happier woman. So, you know, this is a strange time. This is a trying time. But don't buy the hype. Yep. Don't buy into it, because all it's there for is to distract you. You know, and Lori's, hello, Miss Belizean. So, Lori says that we also have to remember the law of attraction, and if we believe negative, we invite it in.
And Lori's a dear friend of mine, and if she checked my Facebook post, I actually have, to help me get through this, is I picked up at a thrift store recently this little card box, and what it's called is The Universe Has Your Back.
There you go. Yes, it does.
Use that as your support system.
We're not out here alone.
Exactly.
There's a creator. There is whatever. Nature fixes me. The beach fixes me, truly. And, you know, everybody has their thing. Find your thing and own it. But, but mainly just turn off the news. Don't buy the hype. Yeah, they get paid to make you scared.
Yes.
It's their job. Don't let it. So, everything works out the way it is intended to, regardless of what we think.
It brings me back to that, was that Martin Luther King quote? The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
That is a true statement. Is that 100%. Martin Luther King?
I think so. I mean, don't quote me 100%, but
I'm quoting
I know
you.
it's definitely
I am so quoting you.
But But it's the words itself that really matters, and it's one of the things that I use because recently in my older years is I'm facing fears.
Right.
And when you face your fears, you start to realize, what was I fearing it for?
Right.
That was so dumb. And it's like when you face it, you get beyond it, and then you overcome it. And it's just like life gets so much easier.
Well, absolutely. And just for the record, because somebody is going to email me, it's FDR. So it was at his first inauguration. But it's just so apropos, right? I think that's just a fact. But, and Lori says 2020 has sucked, but tomorrow is new. Every day is new. It's a different day. And now Lori says it's Churchill.
Churchill.
Well, then Roosevelt was quoting Churchill in his inauguration.
Okay.
But, and it's all good. But
yeah.
I just think that we do buy in. And it's just, we can't. Life's too short. I mean,
absolutely,
it is. But, so anyway, no matter who you root for, I know Sherry's pretty pumped about her Steelers, so we're going to leave that alone. So, yeah, but it is. And it doesn't have to be the end of the world. People always think things are the end of the world. We're in the end times. This is not a great thing. This is whatever. And it's probably not. There have been too many of them. One of these days it's going to be.
I just think we won't know. And I don't think we should focus on it. I think we should just focus on
getting to the other side.
Yeah.
I think we should focus on getting to the other side and whatever will get us there, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And, I have a good friend that changed her life, and I don't think every day about emulating her. So, especially when she posts pictures, then I'm ready to go. But we are, speaking of which, I have to tell you that we're going to be coming up on a news break. Right after I told you to turn off the news, right? So it's all good. If you really want to hear the news, we're going to give you some. But, I've been looking for months and months and months to find a positive bit of news on NPR. I'm still looking. I am totally convinced that there's a possibility that it's going to show up. But I am really and truly not fussed. Because I've been trying to go out and make my own news. I think you have been too. So I think that we are doing what we're supposed to do, and we are going to get through it. So thank you so much, guys, for bringing that up, because there's so many people who are experiencing this right now, and I took time away from your time, Kim, but I just felt like that was something that we had to address.
Absolutely, so, I agree.
Yeah, because there was true angst in there with people that don't generally have that. So, with that, we are going to go ahead and take this news break. And we will see you on the flip side. This would be a fantastic time to fill up your beverage container, to, brush your dog's teeth, to do whatever you need to do, and be back here at 5 after the hour. We will see you then. Thank you so much. See you on the flip side.
This message comes from NPR sponsor Splunk, the Data to Everything platform, helping you turn data into successful outcomes for security, IT, DevOps, and, well, everything. Learn more about Splunk at splunk.com/everything.
Live from NPR News, I'm Janine Herbst. President Trump spent a second day at his golf course in Virginia as the Biden-Harris team continues to create working groups to address a wide range of challenges facing the next administration. Reaching out to both sides today was former President George W. Bush, as NPR's Barbara Sprunt reports.
In a statement, Bush said he had spoken with Biden and Harris to offer his congratulations. He said, quote, "Though we have political differences, I know Joe Biden to be a good man who has won his opportunity to lead and unify our country." He said he offered him his prayers for success, the same thing he gave to Presidents Trump and Obama. Bush also addressed Trump, congratulating him on his campaign and saying he has the right to request recounts and pursue legal challenges. He said, quote, "The American people can have confidence that this election was fundamentally fair, its integrity will be upheld, and its outcome is clear." Barbara Sprunt, NPR News.
And President-elect Biden has said that he will reverse President Trump's decision to withdraw the U.S. from the World Health Organization on the first day of his new administration. As NPR's Maria Godoy reports, global health experts hope the incoming Biden administration will reset the U.S. relationship with the WHO.
In July, President Trump gave formal notice that the U.S. would terminate its relationship with the WHO, accusing the UN agency of mismanaging the coronavirus pandemic. The withdrawal was set to take effect next summer. The U.S. has historically been the WHO's top donor, and critics worried that a U.S. pullout would leave the world's leading public health agency severely weakened. Biden's election as the next U.S. president has put an end to that threat. Experts also hope that, under the new Biden administration, the U.S. will join COVAX, an international effort to develop a COVID-19 vaccine and distribute it more equally around the world. The Trump administration has so far refused to join the effort, in part because it is co-led by the WHO. Maria Godoy, NPR News.
Israeli and Palestinian leaders have congratulated President-elect Biden, but they waited with those congratulations longer than many other world leaders. NPR's Daniel Estrin has more.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is a close ally of President Trump. When he won in 2016, Netanyahu congratulated him immediately. But Netanyahu said nothing about Biden's win until about 12 hours after news organizations declared him the winner. Netanyahu's former emissary in New York, Dani Dayan, thought the Israeli leader was being careful because Trump has not yet conceded defeat. Netanyahu says he's known Biden for nearly 40 years and that he's a, quote, big friend of Israel. Netanyahu also thanked Trump. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, who cut ties with the Trump administration, said he looked forward to strengthening Palestinian relations with the U.S. to achieve independence for Palestinians. Daniel Estrin, NPR News, Jerusalem.
U.S. futures contracts are trading higher at this hour. You're listening to NPR News. As war continues in northern Ethiopia, the international community is urging de-escalation. NPR's Ada Peralta reports the country's prime minister is defending his government's actions.
Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed says his administration had been trying to peacefully deal with a rebellious regional government. Abiy accused the TPLF of harboring criminals and fomenting unrest throughout the country.
Unfortunately, the responsible and restrained approach of the federal government was perceived as weakness.
The TPLF, he says, then held an illegal election and attacked a federal military base. The government has since been conducting a bombing campaign. The UN and the regional East African bloc of states called for restraint on both sides. The UN also called for the government to open up a humanitarian corridor. Ada Peralta, NPR News, Nairobi.
As the number of coronavirus cases surges in the U.S., the State University System of New York is issuing new rules for the spring. SUNY, as it's known, says students at its 64 campuses around the state will have to quarantine at home for a week and then be tested for the coronavirus. University officials say classes will start later than usual on February 1st, and there won't be any spring break. And as it was in 2020, spring graduation in 2021 will probably be virtual. There are nearly 10 million confirmed cases of coronavirus in the United States, more than 237,000 deaths. That according to data from Johns Hopkins University. I'm Janine Herbst, NPR News.
Welcome back to Fate Mag Radio. I am Kat Hobson, your host, and we are the online voice of Fate Magazine. A friend of mine dubbed me the voice of fate, if you will, and I decided I kind of like that. But at any rate, I am so pleased to be here tonight because I have one of my really favorite people who is doing stuff that I didn't even know about. We do the same stuff. But Kim Hoholek is an anomalous researcher. She has totally gotten into the whole Bigfoot experience because she lives in Wisconsin, right? They're there. She has a lot of people that she enjoys. She is connected with Jennifer Malik. I'm sure that you know her from Paranormal Universe, and we love her all the time. But, I am so glad you're here because I wanted to know more about what you were doing. Because I'm nosy like that. Well, but when we went to break, we were talking about, if there's anybody in chat that needs some assistance in coping, we're both available to try to help. We can help you with grounding, with healing, and I would absolutely trust Kim. So if you need that, reach out. We're both on Facebook. Her name is a link in the show information, and you know where to find me. I'm here every night except Tuesday and Saturday. So I am really glad that you're here.
Thank you.
And I'm glad that you didn't mind us taking that time because I felt like it was important.
Appreciate it.
Now, as we move on, I am interested. I couldn't believe it when you said you lived where the Beast of Bray Road appears.
Yeah, not far.
That's
about
crazy.
A 30-minute drive.
That's just crazy. So have you had that experience yet?
I have not had a dog man or a beast experience yet, but I do go looking. People probably think I'm crazy if I'm like driving back from somewhere. I actually, at night, I love taking those creepy back roads. Yes. And then I'll drive slow and just kind of look around to see if anything's going to jump out in front of me. I know it'll scare the bejesus out of me, but it's like I want it to happen. I need to know, and it's just so funny.
Well,
but I have driven on that road during the day. I've driven on that road at night. I haven't experienced anything on it. But I've been in other areas that are a lot more scarier than that as well.
Really? As close to home?
It's about 45, 50-minute drive from here, and there's been definitely experiences out there that I've had with my mentor, Donna. She's the one that got me into field research, and she's just a blast to field research with, and she's also very knowledgeable, and I very much appreciate her.
Well, I know you do because you tell me all the time.
Yeah.
And, and she also reinforced the don't go by yourself mantra that I was breaking my tongue saying, fingers typing the whole time. But I'm glad because, even if you are not coming up against a Sasquatch or one of the monsters, then I think that you have to have common sense and some sort of protection. We have a question in chat relevant to this. Sherry is curious to know what you think is a folklore creature that you don't think there's any way it's true.
I'm a very open-minded person, and I think these legends are there for a reason. And I think that it's something that somebody actually saw. I don't really fully believe that it's just something made up in someone's mind. I think, it's something somebody saw, and they start passing these stories down through, generation to generation. I mean, that's definitely something that the natives do. The natives, there's certain cryptids or creatures they won't even talk about because they believe that's going to bring that creature about. I mean, that's how much fear that they have amongst their tribe.
Well, would that be something like a skinwalker, or is there...
Wendigo.
Wendigos, yes. And Wendigos are kind of Oh, they are freaky.
They're
Why
scary.
don't you tell people about those?
I don't have too much experience other than just I know that they're legend. They're like, I think that they, like the natives believe that they're very dangerous, that they snatch children and snatch people and whatnot, and they have a lot of fear for them, and they're a scary looking creature. They're kind of like they have like a ghostly or skeleton type deer head, and they're just like this big, large, beastly like being. And I don't, people say things like that just to scare children so that to behave themselves. But again, I still go with the fact that how did someone create this in their mind, to describe this? I still strongly feel somebody or more than one person have seen these things, and because they're all, reporting the same situation or the same thing that they see.
Well, there are people that say that the Slender Man, which was created, actually developed into a topa. And do you think it's possible that that's the same thing that went on with the Wendigos?
That's hard to say.
Right? Because it's an ancient belief. That's not new.
Exactly.
Well, I think that, Sherry said, well, what about the Loch Ness Monster?
That's a great question.
That's a plesiosaur. So,
yeah.
But, I think that I believe it's a plesiosaur. And that's based on other people that know a lot more than me's research. So,
right.
I'd just like to see it. So,
well, and here's a funny story. Wisconsin has their own legends of sea serpents. There's several lakes right here in southern Wisconsin that have the legends that there's sea serpents inside these lakes, and that they're there to guard and protect the lake, like how I believe that Bigfoot is in the forest as a guardian of the forest.
Pretty big elementals, though, aren't they?
Yes.
But there's no reason that that's not exactly what they are.
Right.
But I agree with you, because I have been to some place where the homeowner was pot-shotting fox from her deck.
Okay.
And having them stuffed to have in her house. And the energy around that one. I am not kidding, because Jason Hawes was actually at an event at the Stanley, and a friend of mine who developed his software program was there too. And I called and I said, I need you to check on this with him. I have a human with an 8.73 reading on my EMF, and I need to know, has he ever come across a human with a level that high? Well, he had not. But he said, you don't want to do a lot there. There's something going on.
That's what it sounds like.
Right? So and she was drinking. It was just a terrible situation. And it's the only time I ever got something stuck on me. So,
oh, my goodness.
Right?
I fear that. I don't want that to happen. I try to protect myself as much as possible. I mean, even going into the woods at night, it's not so much cryptids. I mean, there's spirits in the woods, too, that you have to protect yourself. Yeah.
Well, to step away from that, tell me about the large serpents.
Oh, I did a ghost walk tour in southern Wisconsin. It was last spring, and I hiked around this lake. It's a really big lake too, and the ghost storyteller says that there was a legend that there was a sea serpent in that lake. That there was a family that went out boating in the summertime, and something made the boat collapse, and they feel that the sea serpent may have taken them under.
Collapse.
And and I don't, yeah, and I never knew that about that lake. I've heard it in other lakes in Wisconsin, but not that particular lake. I don't doubt it, because it seems like when they talk about sea serpents in Wisconsin, it seems to be more in the more larger lakes, or the lakes that have a lot of depth, you know.
I just find that amazing. But, you know, sometimes if you have a monstrous, well, that's a play on words, but if you have a huge lake like that with substantial depth, you can actually get tides and, you know, like rogue waves. So,
oh, yeah. Like Winnebago.
Yeah, that's always a possibility.
100%. I know they get water spouts off of Lake Winnebago, and that's like one of the large lakes in Wisconsin.
Winnebago, like a camper?
Winnebago, like the native tribe.
Wow. I truly did not know that that was a tribe.
The Winnebagos, yes. Wisconsin is full of Indian culture, Native American culture.
Well, I know that Algonquins were there as well as in New York and other areas. And when I was trying to find out the name of my spirit guide, I kept getting a name that sounded very similar to that. And the closest I could come was, you know, Algonquin to the name that I was hearing.
That makes sense.
So I was just like, well, okay, well, and yeah, I got that 3 different times. So I was like, well, okay, hi. Thanks. Thanks for saving me all those times. But, you know, not to make light, because I do appreciate that very much, but it was odd to me that that was the name. I don't
find anything odd.
So, how do you say the Oneida that's spelled like China?
The Oneida?
Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
tribe. They're more on the northeastern part of the state.
Well,
kind of like up in Green Bay area. You know, it's kind of like that's their region. I live in the region of the Ho-Chunks.
Say that again?
I live in the region, like in the southern part of the state, is more of the Ho-Chunk region.
And that's another tribe.
That's another tribe.
See, these names are so different from the tribes that we have here. And what I have here would probably sound odd to people not from here too. But, you know, it's just neat. I think it's neat that their names are so varied. It's just pretty cool.
We got, if you go northwestern part of the state, you know, you get up close to Minnesota and whatnot, you have the Ojibwas.
Like in a turkey?
No, it starts with an O. It's Ojibwa.
Oh, okay.
And I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly, because my Ojibwa friends would probably be smacking me the next time they see me if I wasn't saying it correctly.
Well, I could understand that, because I wasn't trying to make light of it, but they do sound like other terms. And you know, it's like when Algonquin said, you know, this is me. And I was like, that's just unusual. Okay. So what do you think? I asked about the Oneida for a reason, and we are not going to have time to get into it. But if you are on Facebook and you have the opportunity to go and look at the video that is part of the event now, I've used it as the cover right before we went to air so that y'all can see the things that she has experienced and her photography. She is jammed up with her photography. But, you know, I think that would be cool. And we have a question in chat, but we're going to grab that when we come back. So thank you very much. And Lori is putting names of other tribes in there, and some of those I already know. So that's pretty
Lori's
cool.
been very helpful, so thank you, Lori.
She is very helpful, and she's very cool. And
yes,
we are going to take our break, and y'all come back. We're going to do that too, or give it our best shot. Thanks for listening.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Several U.S. presidents are on record talking about the UFO mystery.
Yeah, Presidents Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan both had UFO sightings of their own, but the current presidential campaign might be the first in which UFO disclosure has been championed by a major party candidate.
DIA, CIA, it moves around, is operating a program to train psychic spies to spy and use their powers against Russia. John Ronson writes about this in The Men Who Stare at Goats.
The first known sighting of a ghost took place right after Abraham Lincoln was assassinated in the late 1860s during the administration of Ulysses Grant.
Project Paperclip, Clinton releases it all in 1998.
Possibly the unequal cooling of its surface.
I say, do you still think it's a meteor, Professor?
I don't know what to think. The metal casing is definitely extraterrestrial.
It's a place where UFO hunters and scientists gather to examine paranormal activity in the region.
Some of the documents, this is bringing Nazi scientists into the United States to work here. So we fought against the Nazis, and it's not, this again is not a revelation. As early as 1947, 1946, we knew some of this, right?
On the paranormal, will we see U.S. President Barack Obama's foreign policy go intergalactic in a quest for gold stolen by aliens? We'll tell you at least how the White House responded to claims the chief executive has been teleporting to Mars. But let's get to today's Capitol account.
UFOs, hauntings, psychic abilities, conspiracy, ESP, cryptozoology. There are many things that remain unexplained in the inexplicable world around us, and we're talking about them here, looking for answers on WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama. The truth is out there.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 23 minutes after the hour. Welcome back to WBHM Digital Broadcasting. You are listening to Fate Mag Radio. And, if you have not checked out the Fate Magazine website lately, it is fatemag.com. It's great. You can actually listen to the show there if you prefer. It is such a great page. We have archived magazines. It's amazing what Phyllis can come up with. Phyllis is our editor-in-chief. But she is so good at the research. I had a guest who had submitted and didn't think she had been printed. And I said something to Phyllis about it the next day, and she was like, "We did print that. Get her snail mail." She sent her 2 copies. And goodness only knows how long it had been. But she knew exactly what it was and where to go grab those and get them to... It was actually Cheryl Costa. So, cool stuff, right? I love my boss. But we are here with Kim Hoholek. And, I wanted to get into a little bit about how you connected with your friend Donna, who actually... pretty much has been working with you to help you understand what actually you want to be doing in the field. And I think that she's pretty great, honestly. And
yes.
but I find it interesting that you were field investigating for 2 years before you heard wood knocks.
Yeah, it takes a little bit to finally get, those, I don't know if it's like they kind of get comfortable with you coming around in the area, or
I think so.
I'm not really sure, but yeah, it does take a while. And it's like every time you go out in the field, you're not always going to experience something.
Exactly.
So we try to
They're not
hit up
performing animals.
Yes, exactly. No one's lighting the fire underneath the stage to make them dance.
Yes.
But so anyways, as I was explaining to you, we spoke earlier, that I've always did researching online. I was just amazed by cryptid research. Bigfoot, as I've mentioned, ever since I was a kid, from that movie in 1979, and then 2005, when I was kind of settling into another area, just getting moved in, a relative mentioned to me, they're like, "Hey, you ever hear the story about the Beast of Bray Road?" And I'm like, "No, what are you talking about?" I'm just like, I had no clue. And they're like, "Look it up." And I started researching it, and I ended up spending hours online, and I'm like, Wait a minute, this road is not far from where I live. This is freaking me out. But then, in my research, I started to find stories right in my own backyard. I was like, wait a minute, what? There's beast sightings like right here? And so I was like glued to the internet, just constantly trying to find more and more information because I wanted to know more. And this is why we field investigators, we appreciate when people are able to come out and report, what they've seen, so that we can help research it more and educate other people. So fast forward from 2005, when I'm starting to learn about different types of creatures that lurk about and legends. 2013, I moved to another area, and again, I started to get curious again about creatures. And fast forward, let's go into end of 2016, and I started researching YouTube videos, and I come across a person on there, and her name was Donna. And she had all these YouTube videos, and I started, watching them, like, oh, these are all in the area that I live in. And then it was like practically in my backyard. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I need to talk to this lady, because she had this one story so amazing and so coincidental, because it kind of matched another story that I had from living in that area. I started messaging her, and I told her, hey, this happened. And then she's like, oh, wow, I want to hear more. And so we kind of communicated a little bit through YouTube, chatting through there. And then eventually she gave me her Facebook name and her group and whatnot, and I joined up, and we communicated more. And then finally, in the spring of 2017, we went on our first investigation. And that's how we met. That's how we got together. We didn't just like go meet at a coffee shop. We met out on the trail somewhere and investigated. We just kind of like got right into it. And it's been an adventure ever since. An amazing adventure. We've had many great experiences. Some really funny, weird things happened to us, and some things that were scary.
Well, I know that when you were doing my feed with the wood knocks, that was pretty interesting. What was and I know that you talk about the coyotes all around you, no less, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how did you kind of center yourself? Because I know that as well as being interesting and amazing, it had to be somewhat frightening, because they do hunt in packs like that.
Exactly. It was a little. I want to say I think I had the spray on me, but we didn't have anything else. There was 3 of us. We have. I'm gonna give a shout out here. We have our little friend Mike, and we call him our bait. But really, it's just kind of nice to have a third person kind of come along, and, you know, the more the merrier. But we always tease them every time we go out on an investigation. I'm like, yep, we got to have our bait with us. So the three of us were out at this one particular area that's a hot spot for a lot of very strange things happening. And this is also the same spot that I saw my very first teepee structure. Mm-hmm. I mean, a large one. And it was just like, it took my breath away when I saw it. And that's why I really get into seeing structures when I'm out doing my hikes or going out in the woods, and I will photograph them. And I just think they're amazing. And the very first time that I went to this particular area, it was just Donna and I, and it was like in the fall time. And it was getting close to evening, so we wanted to get out of the woods. We didn't want to be kind of stuck in that area at dark. It was very foggy, and there was like a light mist coming down. And as soon as we get back to the car, you know, and we're just kind of like packing some things up, and we hear these knocks in the distance. She's like, shh, did you hear that? And then I think we heard it again. And it's just like, you know, people might say, oh, it's a woodpecker or it's this and it's that. But it's like, no, once you hear these knocks, they're very distinctive.
They are.
There's like, yeah, you know, it's not an animal. It's something very loud, like something large is hitting something against a tree. And so that was my first experience with it. And then the second time of hearing those knocks, it was the three of us that went out and we went to investigate that structure. And that's when we, you know, it was getting towards dusk, and we had coyotes. I mean, they were off in the distance, but it was like we hear them on one side of us, we hear them on the other side of us. I can't explain that when I got fearful at first, but then I got really calm, like I was being protected and I didn't need to worry about it. I mean, and we got out of those woods safely. You know, nothing happened. But the strange thing, I feel strongly that we were protected. Very much so. So we started heading out of the woods because, again, it's starting to get dark, and heading out to the road area. And there were some people off in the distance fishing because there's like a creek that runs through there. So there's three of them. There's three of us. And as we get close to the road, we hear 6 knocks, and then it stopped.
Whoa.
We strongly believe that whatever is out there is like, use that as a communication form, like 6 people are leaving, because we were all leaving at the same time, leaving the woods.
I would agree. Because other people have shared those experiences with me, and it is almost like, okay, there's 4 of them, there's 6 of them, there's, you know, and it's coming in and going out, which freaks my brain. Who knew they could count? Right?
They're very, from my experience of researching on this, I think they're very intelligent.
I think so too. Now, tell me about when y'all were actually trying to investigate and, you know, doing predator calls and stuff in a vehicle, because you're not crazy, but you had another vehicle pull in.
Oh my goodness, that night. That was about, I want to say maybe it was last spring when we did that. And this is a particular area, again, the activity there is, it's kind of a hot spot for all kinds of weird things, you know, reports of dogmen, you know, Bigfoot and UFOs and whatnot. So we were thinking, because Donna has used this before with another friend where she had a predator call and they had something come up to the vehicle and shake the vehicle, and, you know, and her friend saw some type of a figure through the rearview mirror, you know, like a little bit of shadow, you know, so she's thinking, hey, let's do this again and see if we can get some action. And so we threw the predator call out the window, and we had this like long string, and she had me in charge of, you know, like pulling it in if anything happens. You know, we'd have like the window open a crack, because we're brave, but we're still a little bit chicken.
That's not a bad thing. I mean, that's how
Right.
people that do this survive. Period.
Exactly. Being cautious.
Yes.
And this is like, we're out in the middle of nowhere. There's hardly any traffic. It was probably, I want to say around 10 p.m. I'm just using an estimate time. It was getting pretty late. And this vehicle comes slowly down the road, and then it turns in to come in where we were at. And so I quickly, like, okay, I don't want them to run over the predator call, so I start reeling it in and pulled it inside the vehicle. Well, and it was like this SUV, and it comes up and it come alongside because, you know, Donna was driving and I was in the passenger, and it comes up really close to the side of me, and then it turns around, and we didn't have anything in front of us, so what the vehicle did is it turned around, and then it came up close to our vehicle within inches and just sat there, and then it hit its bright lights and then turned them off and then just sat there and stared. And Donna and I were just like, you know, I don't know what the conversation was that was going on between us. I think we were kind of like, what is this idiot doing? You know, we didn't understand what was happening. And then finally it backed up, you know, probably after a minute or so, it backed up a little bit. And then it started to drive along the side of Donna, and it went very, very slow. And here's the odd part. It was an older SUV, kind of like a big GMC. You know, I'm not quite sure what type it was. But the windows must have been tinted because we couldn't even see shadows. You couldn't see no lights of, you know, like how you could see the dashboard lights at night. Nothing. We couldn't even see shadow of anyone. It was completely dark inside this SUV. And then finally it just kept slowly driving away. And we sat there probably another 5-10 minutes just like, I don't know, what was that all about? And then all of a sudden something kind of, you know, like that fear factor kind of sets in. And I said to Donna, I go, Donna, do you think we should leave? She's like, yeah, I think it's time to go. And as we took our road, I know, we were. That's the weird thing. We were like really nonchalant. And then as we were driving away and driving down the road, we started analyzing the situation, and then it hit us. Hey, that could have been a really dangerous situation that could have happened right there. So we definitely know when we go and do something like that, we're going to use more protection. You know, because this was just two women at night out in the middle of nowhere, you know, playing with a predator call.
And there's with no other predators showing up. I mean, what would you have done if those were men in black, right?
Well, you know what? That ran across our mind. Believe it or not. We kind of wondered if that's what we were dealing with.
There's no way to know, but had there been any UFO activity within that time frame?
As far as what we know, I don't think so. Nothing that's been reported. I mean, the most recent UFO activity that her and I experienced was just this past September, after we were coming out of the woods from a night investigation.
Right.
I suppose people want to hear that story, or should we leave a cliffhanger?
Ooh, well, we have a little at 7 minutes. Can you do it in 7 minutes? Or we can cliffhang and come back at that point there.
Oh, no, I can get that in definitely in 7 minutes. You know, so we just did another quick investigation to this special private spot, you know, that Donna has. You know, this is where she takes good care of Bigfoot. And, you know, we wanted to go and check on the stuff that she's left out there and see if there was anything. And, you know, if we could pick up anything. She has a FLIR, so we were using the FLIR to see if we can get any singles on that. And, you know, it was pretty much a dead night. Nothing was happening. So we decided to leave. And then what we did is we got out of the woods, and we got in the car, and then we drove to, like, the edge of the field and just kind of sat there for a little bit to see if we could hear anything, you know, see if we rustled up anything because we were in the woods. And she was sitting in the car warming up. I was standing outside of the car with the FLIR and just kind of looking around. And there was like this one star above where we came out of the woods. It was really bright, like a bright orange. And I thought maybe it was Mars, but I'm like, I don't think that's Mars. You know, and I just kept looking at it and thought it was odd. And it was there for quite a while, and then all of a sudden it started moving, and I turned over by Dawn and I says, I didn't think that was a plane. It was there very long. And she goes, yeah, I know. And we watched it slowly move. And once it reached the handle of the Big Dipper, it disappeared.
Yep.
And I turned to her for validation. I'm like, did you just see that? She goes, yeah, I saw that. And it's just like, we couldn't believe what we just saw. So,
well,
yeah, that, short story there on that one. But that was our most recent event that happened to us. It was back in September, where we potentially saw something that we couldn't identify.
Well, when you go out there, and it doesn't really matter when, what do you look for? What kind of signs are you looking for?
Definitely we look for structures, especially even at night. We'll shine our light. Or in the daytime, we look for prints, especially after rain or something like that. We try to see if we can get lucky and see if there's any prints anywhere. We try to listen for things. We've been kind of testing to see how we do it our Halloween, and we probably sound like a bunch of idiots out at night owls, but we're trying to do whatever we can to kind of rustle something up. And then we also do, I'll take a big log and then I'll bang it up against a tree to make those wood knocks, and just to see if we can get anything. But it just seems like when we don't do anything, then we get something, It's like,
and that is
when
how it goes with all of those things.
Yeah, definitely. But it's still a lot of fun to get out in the field and do that.
Well, I like getting out in the field no matter, what I'm investigating, because, basically everyone will have lost this year. I've lost 2. And I'm just like, oh, no. I've been to 2 investigations, and thanks very much to Sherry for having me as her +1 at Octagon Hall. But,
very nice.
It's just been, I am so ready. So
I hear
ready.
you.
And, we've got Alabama Bigfoot and Paranormal is near here, and Jonathan Odom is the founder and primary investigator with that. We have, I can't remember the name of the town, but I'll have it when we come back. But we've got all kinds of people having all kinds of experiences locally. And I'm like, I need to go. I have to get to where I can hike, but I need to go. So
yeah,
I'm ready. I want to go and see all the things that they're getting evidence on and stuff like that. I'd love to come up there and play with you. So
I am waiting. That's an open invitation. We're waiting for you.
Thank you. I will try to. And we have to get a break. But we will be right back. Y'all come back too. And Lori says she can't wait to get into the ruins down there. So I've heard they're awesome. I can't wait to see what she's finding. So we'll be right back. This is going to be our final break. So if you have questions, get them into one of the chat rooms. We'll be there looking for them. See you on the flip side. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you in a bit.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
This is Jason Bland, host of Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup, where we stream live as a webcast every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern, with guests who will blow your mind. Live ghost box sessions where you can call into the show to see if the spirits will talk to you, and the world wide web of weird with the latest in paranormal news and evidence. We're bringing the weird every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow and subscribe.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 45 minutes after the hour. Thank you so much for joining us here on Fate Mag Radio. I am Kat Hobson, your host, and I have had a fantastic time. If you missed any of this interview with Kim Hoholek, you are going to need to go back and check your archive because she's brilliant. This has been just really educational for me, and I think for our listening audience too. If you are listening live or through the archives, the podcast, thank you, because you're the reason that we bring people like Kim onto our shows so that you can learn from her and from the others. So, Kim, we were talking. I would like for you to let people know, who you work with and how they can find you and your evidence, and just let's go ahead and get that out of the way so we don't wind up running over.
Yeah, absolutely. So my friend Donna runs a group called the SWWO/OMI group. It is the Southern Wisconsin Wild Ones and the Ohio, Michigan, and Illinois. So we basically cover the Midwest, but anybody is welcome to join the group. I mean, I know we definitely have people across the ocean that are in this group. So you could definitely look that up, and Kat, I'll send you the link to it, so if anyone needs that, you can get that up for them.
Absolutely.
I am also, thank you, and I'm also in another group of hers, which is the North American Dogman Project, or the Midwest. I have to make sure I actually lost my page there for a moment, but I'll get you that link as well, the Dogman Project page as well that is run. And I mean, that one we kind of use more, or she uses it more for like dogman sightings and whatnot, where the Southern Wisconsin Wild Ones is used for like anything. Do you have UFO experience? Do you have any type of cryptid experience? Anything, is open for discussion. It's a safe place to come and talk and share experiences or question us and what we're up to.
That sounds fun. I think that I see a lot of people, I talk to people, and there is a great deal of interest in dogmen. The first time I ever went to Scarefest, the North American Dogman Association had a mannequin of one, and I actually took my picture with it like I was afraid, because I'm going to tell you, they would not be able to get me out of the woods without dragging me if I ever truly came across one. It was fairly accurate based on descriptions that I've heard from other people who truly do investigate this. I don't see why anybody in their right mind would go and hunt a dogman. They communicate telepathically. They make it clear that you are not to be bothering them. There were 4 men that I would trust in just about any situation with weapons as one walked out across in front of them. And, every one of them knew, if you point that weapon at me, you're going to die.
Mm-hmm.
And they totally didn't. I mean, they're intimidating.
Yes.
So I just think that's why when you would tell me you were walking in the woods alone in Wisconsin, I went totally, overbearing mom on you. And
Yes.
I'm sorry still for that.
It's
but
okay.
it got your
it's
attention.
You know. Sure did.
So I just know that I'm so glad that you're doing this work that you absolutely love. But I'm also so glad that you are doing it as part of a team experience, and that you're focused on staying safe.
Oh, definitely. And also too, I help mentor the youth. I have a friend's son who has been so excited over the paranormal, and he likes watching paranormal activity type shows, ghost shows. But I told him, like, well, I don't really do that, but I do Bigfoot research. Do you want to come out with me in the field? And he's just so excited, and he like just grasped it so well that, the few times that I've taken him out in the field and take him out in the woods, that now he's very aware of his surroundings and he knows what to look for, that he's pointing things out to me that I don't even catch right away. So that's like, that's amazing. And plus he's just a lot of fun. This is a funny story. I took him on his first nighttime, but I did it more at the dusk, not like, complete darkness. And there's like these trails behind a cemetery that, we know that there's some activity going on behind there. So I took him out there. And I kind of had him go in front of me. I stayed behind him to kind of like, so I can watch, where he's at and keep my eye on him. And I have a really good friend of mine gave me this little bell. It's called a Bigfoot spirit bell. And I had it on my belt loop.
Right.
So that bell was just kind of dingling. He's just going ding, 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 ding. And he turned, he goes, what is that noise? And I go, this is my bell that's on my belt loop. He goes, oh, great, Kim. Just ring the dinner bell for them. And I died laughing. I mean,
oh my gosh. That's hilarious.
This kid is a character, but it's just like, oh my goodness. Yeah.
Well, you should have told him you were a belly dancer and that you could really make that thing hum.
Right. Oh my God, that kid, just the whole time. But I think that was the funniest moment. He's like, sure, just ring that dinner bell.
Absolutely.
Because he was like super nervous too. It was his first time, but he definitely goes home and he tells his parents, how much that he's been learning, how much fun he's been having, and it gets him out of the house. It gets him away from watching TV or playing video games and experience something different in life.
Well, it's so educational too because you're learning wood skills.
Yes, definitely.
You are just having so many opportunities to experience things. But we are almost out of time. I have had the best time, and you're already getting kudos on your show because I'm going to tell you, I've learned things, and I appreciate that. And we didn't even get to talk about your Shaker's Cigar Bar tour.
Oh, yeah.
So we have things to talk about when you come back.
Absolutely.
Because she doesn't just do cryptids, y'all. She is spiritual paranormal. She is ufology. She is cryptids. She is a little bit of everything that you ever wanted to know about. And
if it's weird, I'm in.
I had to twist her arm to get her on the air. So,
yes.
Aren't you so glad you did?
This was fun. Yeah, thank you so much.
I think that you were terrific. And
I are too.
And I'm looking forward to the next one. So with that being said, I want to tell everyone that we appreciate you. This is so much fun. We have such great hosts. We've got the Fate Magazine, obviously, on Sunday nights. We have the Paranormal Pride with Denise Pridemore on Mondays. We have Paranormal Experienced with Kat Hobson on Wednesdays, immediately followed by Till Gray's Paramysteries, which is a great show. Then on Thursdays, we have the Full Spectrum Project with Pete Haviland and Bruce. I do that to him all the time. With Brian Clone, who is a brilliant author and just a great host, too. They both are. Then on Fridays, we have Ghost Talk Radio with Shelley Robertson. And then that's it right now. And we're adding shows. We're talking to people. But, it really has to be a great fit. So if it's something you're interested in, you can email info@WBHM-DB.com. I'll talk to you about it. And, we'll just get a feel for things. I want to let you know that I know that y'all heard the show with Mike, who was part of the Mike and Mike team. The second Mike couldn't come. Well, they're both here Wednesday for Paranormal Experienced, and that's going to be fantastic. I'm so excited because they are hilarious and smart and just so much fun. Then I am going to have L.A. Mazzulli on with me on Sunday on next week's Fate Mag Radio. I have been friends with him online for quite some time. This will be my first time interviewing him. He is who led the team that my friend Chase was on to do the Bolivian and Peruvian elongated skulls, to do the forensic testing. He is so amazing. You can check him out. He is lamarzulli.com. And he's a lot of fun. So cool. April said that this show is played on the world record too. Oh, and if you don't have iTunes, iHeart, all the places that we are, Spotify, YouTube. I don't really know why we're on YouTube because we don't do video, but if they'll let me be there, I love it. But we are on your Alexa app now. So, and my Alexa just turned on. Sorry. But you can hear us there. Just ask for WBHM-DB or by the show name. I haven't gotten her to understand Fate Mag Radio yet, but I'm working on it. So, thanks again. I had so much fun with you, Kim.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Kat. I really appreciate it.
You were just brilliant. Thanks.
Oh, thank you.
And we will see you next week. Thank you again. And everybody in chat, thank you for your questions and your comments and all of your support. Y'all rock. Rock the house. So, we bid you adieu. And I will see you on Wednesday. Well, actually, I'll see you tomorrow because I'll be running chat and producing Denise. So, I am always here. And I'm always in chat. So, come chat. And I will see you Wednesday while I'm doing my show. So, my other show. So, thanks again. Y'all have a great night. And we will catch you on the next show. Good night.